Shaquille O'Neal bought 20 acres of Texas land and then built a 6,000 square foot ranch with a full indoor riding arena, custom everything, and views that stretch to the horizon. But here's the kicker. This isn't even his most expensive property. The man owns another 31,000 square foot Florida mansion with a 95-foot pool called Shaq-apulco, and enough square footage to fit 5 average American homes inside. So how did Shaq build such a massive real estate portfolio? And what crazy features does his ranch have? Let's take a true insider look. From the court to the land. When Shaq's NBA career ended in 2011, he didn't fade into quiet retirement mode, where ex-athletes only show up at autograph signings and become a cautionary tale about money mismanagement. Instead, Shaq went in the complete opposite direction. He expanded, not in the physical sense, although the man is still 7 feet 1 inch and is built like a building. But I'm talking about scope here. His whole empire just kept growing post-retirement. And one of his smartest plays was to plant roots in Texas. You see, this state has become an absolute magnet for athletes, entrepreneurs, and basically anyone who's done watching their paycheck get demolished by state income taxes. And that's because there's no state income tax in Texas, like actually zero. And when you're Shaq, pulling in around $60 million a year from TV gigs, endorsement deals, and business moves, that's a game changer. California would have snatched 13% right off the top before you could even blink. But Texas? It takes nothing. We're talking millions of dollars staying in his pocket every single year, compounding into generational wealth. But the Texas thing wasn't just about dodging taxes. Shaq wanted space. Real space. After decades of packed arenas, suffocating press rooms, and cities where privacy basically doesn't exist, the man craved land. Not some gated community where your neighbor's pool party is happening 50 feet from your bedroom window. Not a high-rise condo with a concierge who knows your schedule better than you do. Actual wide-open land where you can stand in your backyard and see nothing but sky and grass for miles. And he found it. The ranch sprawls across about 20 acres of flat North Texas pasture. Now, compared to those massive Texas ranches that go on for thousands of acres, 20 might sound cute. But for a personal residence, that's serious real estate. You could fit 15 football fields on that property. You could run horses, host massive gatherings, build whatever structures you want, and still have space left over to just breathe. Shaq picked Texas because it checked every single box: privacy, control, financial brilliance, and room to actually exist without feeling boxed in. Once he locked down the land, he started building something that screams him. Not the flashy superstar chasing rings, but the businessman, the dad. The guy who's earned the right to live exactly how he wants without anyone telling him otherwise. But to really get why this ranch matters, you've got to understand the man who built it. And Shaq's story? It starts way before the mansions and the millions, back when life could have gone sideways in about 1,000 different ways. The foundation, where it all started. Now here's the thing people tend to forget about Shaq. His childhood could have been a total disaster. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1972, his biological father was basically a ghost. Tangled up in addiction, cycling in and out of prison, and then just gone. That kind of chaos wrecks kids. It derails futures before they even start. But Shaq's mom, Lucille, married this guy named Philip Harrison, a U.S. Army sergeant, and everything shifted. Philip Harrison was strict. Like military-grade strict. Zero tolerance for excuses, zero patience for slacking off, and an absolute commitment to drilling discipline, respect, and routine into Shaq's head. The family bounced around constantly: Germany, Texas, different military bases. But that structure gave Shaq something most kids never get: order, a foundation. The kind of consistency that teaches you how to handle pressure when the whole world's watching. Basketball wasn't some fairy tale discovery either. It was just what big kids did, and Shaq happened to be the biggest kid in every room he walked into. At Robert G. Cole High School in San Antonio, people started paying attention, not just because of his height, but because he was coordinated, athletic, and getting better fast. By senior year, he'd led his team to a state championship, and college scouts were lining up. Louisiana State University is where the transformation happened. That's where raw physical dominance turned into actual skill. He destroyed the college game, collected awards, and by 1992, he was the #1 overall draft pick for the Orlando Magic. The NBA didn't ease him in gently. It threw him straight into the fire, and he absolutely thrived. Arenas sold out. Defenses panicked. He dunked so aggressively that the league had to reinforce backboards because he kept bending the steel rims like they were made of cardboard. Instant superstar status, making millions before he could legally rent a car. But success brought frustration too. Playoff losses hurt. Injuries stacked up. Tension with Orlando's front office kept building. And then, during the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, where he won a gold medal, by the way, Shaq made the call that would define the next decade of his life. He signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. The contract was absurd. $121 million over 7 years, which in 90s money was legitimately mind-blowing. And with that move came pressure most people will never comprehend. Winning wasn't enough. He had to dominate. He had to deliver championships. He had to become a legend. And between 2000 and 2002, that's exactly what happened. Shaq and Kobe led the Lakers to 3 straight championships. Those years locked in his legacy and, just as importantly for this story, locked in his wealth. By the time he left LA, he'd banked over $200 million in salary alone, and that's not even counting endorsement money. He kept playing until 2011, Miami, Phoenix, Cleveland, Boston, and then hung it up. But retirement didn't mean slowing down. It meant redirecting all that competitive fire into business, media, and building an empire that would outlast his basketball career by decades. And that empire needed a home base. Somewhere quiet, private, built exactly to his specs. That's where the Texas Ranch comes in. The Texas Ranch, where scale meets calm. All right, let's actually tour this place because the details are genuinely wild. The main house sits at roughly 6,000 square feet. Big? Absolutely. But if you think it's absurdly oversized, well, not really, at least not by celebrity standards. The average American home is around 2,000 square feet, so Shaq's place is triple that. But when you stack it next to his Florida mansion, which hits 31,000 square feet, this Texas spot almost feels restrained. And that restraint is the whole point. This ranch wasn't built to flex on Instagram or impress dinner guests. It was built for living. The architecture goes full Texas ranch mode. Natural stone walls, low roof lines, timber accents everywhere. Nothing shoots skyward trying to make a statement. Instead, the whole structure spreads outward, hugging the landscape like it belongs there. You roll up to a gated entrance, then cruise down this long private driveway that cuts through open grass and clean fencing. By the time you actually see the house, you've already left the rest of the world behind. That distance creates this buffer, a psychological separation between Shaq's private life and everything outside those gates. Step inside, and the vibe shifts to volume and calm. High ceilings held up by exposed wooden beams give you this sense of space and light without tipping into excessive. Wide plank hardwood floors stretch through the main living areas, grounding everything with warmth. And right at the heart of the home, there's this full-height stone fireplace that just works. Not because it's shouting for attention, but because it anchors the whole room naturally. The living area feels composed, comfortable. Furniture arranged for actual conversation, not for looking pretty in a design magazine. You can picture lazy afternoons here, reading, watching games, just existing without needing to perform. The kitchen keeps that same understated energy. A massive stone island serves as command central, flanked by professional-grade appliances and custom cabinetry in these soft, neutral tones. This isn't a showpiece kitchen designed for food bloggers to drool over. It's a working kitchen, shared meals, slow mornings, maybe Shaq flipping pancakes for his kids when they're visiting. And those big windows framing pasture views? That's intentional. Even when you're indoors, the land stays visible. The whole concept of this property revolves around space. Physical space, sure, but also mental space. Room to think clearly, to breathe deeply, to not be constantly crushed by noise and people and obligations. The primary suite sits off by itself, designed purely for privacy and rest. Vaulted ceilings, thick wood beams, glass doors opening onto quiet views. The bathroom's finished in natural stone with a walk-in shower and a built-in soaking tub that feels more like a personal spa than anything else. Daily comfort over flashy statements, every single time. Other rooms follow the same philosophy. A private office stacked with wood shelving for focused work. A leisure room with a billiards table for low-key entertainment. Durability, natural materials, and openness define every corner. But the outdoor setup? That's where the ranch really shows what it's about. A covered rear terrace with an outdoor kitchen and stone fireplace extends the living space straight into open air. You can cook outside, eat outside, hang under the stars without mosquitoes ruining the vibe. Beyond that terrace, fenced pastures roll toward the horizon like they're infinite. And then there's the showstopper, a covered indoor riding arena. Yeah, Shaq built a full-on indoor riding arena with a steel frame roof and groomed dirt floor. This isn't decorative, it's functional. The man owns horses, and in Texas, if you own horses, you need proper space to train and ride them. This arena confirms what the whole property is: a legit working ranch with real equestrian infrastructure. But if you're impressed by the Texas setup, buckle up, because what he built in Florida is on a completely different level of ridiculous. The Florida Fortress, 31,000 square feet of insanity. Okay, let's talk about Shaq's Florida mansion because this property is genuinely bonkers. It's tucked into the private Isleworth community near Orlando, sitting directly on Lake Butler with water views that just keep going. The house itself? 31,000 square feet? Like, let that number sit for a second. That's bigger than most shopping plazas, 5 times the size of an average American home. You could stick entire families in separate wings, and they'd literally never cross paths. The blue-tiled roof rises above palm-lined grounds, and the entrance is designed to make you feel something. Dramatic 2-story foyer, curved twin staircases, intricate ironwork, ceilings that tower overhead. It immediately resets your sense of scale. This isn't a house, it's an architectural statement. The main living areas get flooded with natural light through these massive glass panels that open straight onto the lake. The interior design leans neutral and refined, deliberately holding back so the landscape outside becomes the star. A 2-story living room anchored by a marble fireplace manages to feel both monumental and somehow intimate, like you're chilling in a luxury hotel that's also deeply personal. Deeper inside, there's a fully soundproofed private home theater. Not a room with a big screen TV, an actual theater. Tiered seating, professional-grade projection, acoustics that make you feel like you're at a movie premiere. Watching films here isn't casual, it's an experience. Then you've got the entertainment gauntlet, game room, full bar. And here's where it gets truly wild. A 1,400 square foot cigar lounge, 1,400 square feet. That's bigger than most New York City apartments. It's decked out in rich wood tones with moody lighting, built specifically for unhurried conversations and late nights that stretch into early mornings. The estate also packs a full-size indoor basketball court built to NBA standards. Because obviously. Shaq might be retired, but basketball lives in his DNA. The court isn't just sitting there looking pretty. He actually uses it. Pickup games with friends, training sessions with his kids, staying connected to the game that built his entire empire. Then there's this aquarium room, inspired by ancient Egyptian motifs that feels more like stepping into an art installation than a functional space. Water, light, symbolic design, all merging into something surreal and theatrical. It's one of those rooms that exists purely because Shaq thought it'd be cool. And when you're sitting on $500 million, you can build whatever weird, wonderful thing pops into your head. But the real crown jewel, the thing that makes this property absolutely legendary, is the pool complex. It's called Shaq-apulco, which is perfect. The pool stretches 95 feet, winding through natural stone formations, custom-built waterfalls, and tropical landscaping that makes you feel like you've been teleported to some luxury resort in Bali. Lakeside tiki pavilion, private dock, a small beach with direct access to the Isleworth chain of lakes. Every outdoor element connects you to water, breeze, and endless Florida sunshine. This mansion isn't playing games with subtlety. It's about scale, luxury, and creating a completely self-contained universe where Shaq never has to leave the property to access anything he wants. Gym? Got it. Theater? Got it? Pool? Got it. Basketball court? Check. Cigar lounge for deep late-night conversations? Absolutely. The Florida estate is the polar opposite of the Texas ranch. Texas is calm, grounded, understated. Florida is loud, bold, unapologetic. And Shaq owns both because he's both people, the reflective guy who craves quiet privacy, and the larger-than-life personality who built a pool complex and named it after himself. But real estate is just one slice of the wealth story. Let's talk about his wheels, because Shaq's car collection is exactly as customized and over-the-top as you'd imagine. The garage, where personality meets horsepower. Shaq's car collection isn't about stacking up as many vehicles as possible. It's about customization. Because when you're 7 feet 1 inch and 325 pounds, most cars straight up don't fit. So Shaq doesn't just buy cars, he completely rebuilds them. Take the Hummer H2. This one makes total sense for someone his size. It's massive, bold, squared off, and offers enough interior space that Shaq can actually sit without his knees jamming into the dashboard. The elevated seating gives him full command of the road, and the aggressive styling matches his whole vibe. A well-maintained Hummer H2 like his typically runs between $30,000 and $50,000, depending on condition and mods. Then you've got the Lamborghini Gallardo, which is where things get genuinely interesting. Lamborghinis are emphatically not designed for people Shaq's size. The cabin is low, cramped, built for someone about a foot shorter. But Shaq wanted one anyway, so he had the entire car rebuilt around his frame. Seats pushed back, roof raised, interior completely reconfigured. The result? A custom Italian supercar that probably shouldn't exist, but absolutely does. Customized Gallardos like his sit between $120,000 and $180,000. The Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van taps into the quieter, more practical side of Shaq's life. This is what he rolls in for long trips, family travel, moving around with his crew. It's basically a luxury apartment on wheels, spacious, comfortable, and totally private. Depending on how it's configured and upgraded, a Sprinter like his lands between $80,000 and $150,000. The Polaris Slingshot is pure, unfiltered fun. It's a 3-wheeled open-air beast that looks like a motorcycle hooked up with a go-kart. Shaq had it stretched and modified to fit his body, and he uses it for short cruises around warm neighborhoods, usually solo or with close friends. It's raw, immediate, and completely different from everything else in his garage. Customized slingshots like his typically run $40,000 to $60,000. And then there's the Tesla Cybertruck, which speaks to Shaq's curiosity about what's coming next. He was drawn to its sharp geometry, stainless steel body, and ultra-minimalist design. Inside, the cabin feels open and tech-forward, with everything controlled through touchscreens. Customized Cybertrucks, similar to his Hover, around $100,000 or more depending on modifications. What's fascinating here isn't the price tags, it's the intentionality behind every choice. Each vehicle serves a specific purpose. Each modification reflects Shaq's personality. And every decision prioritizes comfort, space, and freedom over just following trends. But cars are rolling assets. The real wealth story lives in how Shaq built and continues to sustain a $500 million empire that's still growing, even though he hasn't touched a basketball court competitively in over a decade. The empire. How $500 million happens. Let's break down the actual numbers here because Shaq's financial trajectory is legitimately impressive. Over 19 NBA seasons, Shaq earned $292,198,327 in salary alone. That's purely from playing basketball. No endorsements, no side hustles, just paychecks for showing up and dominating. His rookie salary with Orlando in 1992 to 93 was $3 million. By the time he peaked with Miami in 2004 to 05, he was pulling in $27,696,430 per year, the highest single-season salary of his entire career. But salary was just the launching pad. While he was still playing, Shaq stacked another $200 million+ from endorsement deals with brands like Reebok, Pepsi, Icy Hot, Buick, and Carnival Cruise Line. His face was everywhere. His personality made him marketable in ways most athletes can't touch. By retirement, his combined career earnings from basketball and endorsements had blown past $800 million. That's almost $1 billion earned just during his playing years. But here's where it gets really interesting. Retirement didn't slow him down. It just redirected the energy. Today, Shaquille O'Neal pulls in approximately $60 million per year. Not from basketball, from television, endorsements, and business ventures. He's a permanent analyst on Inside the NBA, one of the most watched sports shows on TV. He's still fronting national ad campaigns. His brand keeps working year-round, generating income whether he's on camera or chilling at home. And then you've got the business investments. Shaq got into Google early, which by itself would have been a generational wealth move. He also built massive positions in franchise businesses, Papa John's locations, Five Guys restaurants, Krispy Kreme franchises, 24-hour fitness gyms. These aren't passive investments sitting in some portfolio. They're active revenue streams generating an estimated $20 million to $30 million per year in steady cash flow. That diversification is everything. Shaq isn't dependent on any single income source. Endorsements dry up, he's got franchise money, TV gigs slow down, investment returns keep rolling in. He's built a financial structure that's resilient, sustainable, and designed to outlive him by generations. That wealth fuels a lifestyle built on scale and comfort. Multiple homes across Florida, Georgia, California, Nevada, and Texas. A former 35,000 square foot Orlando estate. A whole portfolio of suburban properties. Cars, boats, art, collectibles, the full package. But how does all this wealth and luxury impact his personal life? Let's take a look at how he spends his time when the cameras are off. The man behind the empire. Routine, family, and balance. Shaq's daily life is structured, calm, and deeply family-centered. He stays closely connected to his 6 children, showing up for important moments and maintaining daily communication even when work pulls him across the country. Fatherhood isn't a side project for him. It's core to his identity. Mornings often kick off early with light workouts, stretching, and recovery sessions. Fitness isn't about competition anymore. It's about longevity. At 52 and 7 feet 1 inch, keeping his body mobile and healthy is a daily responsibility. He's disciplined about it, treating self-care as non-negotiable. Television remains central to his routine. As a longtime analyst on Inside the NBA, Shaq spends serious time in studios, bouncing between filming locations and home. Despite all that media exposure, colleagues describe his off-camera life as relaxed and grounded. He keeps a tight circle of close friends he's trusted for years, and he's not interested in expanding that circle just to network. Travel still happens, but in a quieter way. Shaq moves between his homes in Florida, Texas, and the West Coast, choosing comfort and privacy over flashy destinations. When he does travel for leisure, it's usually tied to family trips, charity events, or business obligations, not public vacations designed for social media. Lately, Shaq's been leaning into simpler pleasures. Music, casual DJ sessions under the name DJ Diesel, time with his pets, evenings watching games or movies at home. He's also deeply involved in mentoring young athletes and entrepreneurs, offering guidance privately rather than making it a public thing. At this stage of life, Shaquille O'Neal cares less about being seen and more about being present. His days get shaped by routine, family, and balance. A version of success built on stability instead of spectacle. The Texas ranch, the Florida mansion, the cars, the investments, they're all pieces of a bigger story about transformation. Shaq turned early hardship into discipline, dominance into legacy, and fame into something genuinely sustainable. He built an empire that doesn't need him to keep proving anything. It just exists, generating wealth and opportunity while he focuses on what actually matters: family, health, and living life entirely on his own terms. And honestly, that freedom, the ability to wake up every day and choose exactly how you spend your time, to build something that lasts, to shift from chasing success to defining it, that might be Shaq's greatest achievement. way bigger than any championship ring. And with that note, we conclude our journey through the life of one of the greatest NBA stars, whose insane real estate portfolio is a true testament to how he manages his wealth. Which aspect of Shaq's life fascinated you the most? Let us know in the comments, and for more such mind-blowing peeks into the lives of Black celebrities, subscribe to Black Status.